Hello and welcome to episode 80 of Random Encounter, the RPG fan podcast. I'm your host, Robert Steinman, Pale Robbie on the boards. Hey guys. Guess what?
I'm gonna guess E3.
4 days, baby.
Did I guess right?
Whoop whoop!
Yeah.
We are
So excited. I can't stop thinking about it. Not just because I want to see the games, but because I want to see you guys. And I'm also moving the day after I get back, so it's just like a whirlwind of good stuff happening.
nice. Like
So,
Avengers Assemble. And one of the
yeah.
Avengers, you just heard him, ladies and gentlemen, that's Derek Heemsbergen.
Hey, whoa, yeah, I'm Embryon on the boards.
He's
and
the
I do
Chris
stuff.
Evans of RPG fan, I think we'll
I
call
was,
him.
you
No,
know,
no. I'm the manager of the Chris Evans fan club, which is my. I went and played pub trivia. Actually, I've gone the last 2 weeks
I
in a
saw
row.
that.
Yeah, so the first week we went, we named our team Chris Evans Fan Club because basically, if you're unfamiliar with the idea, it's like you go to bars and it's just like free trivia nights where they have geeky questions and stuff, and they want you to come in and patronize the businesses, so they make money by hosting the quizzes there. So the first week we were Chris Evans Fan Club. The second week we were Team Bible Black Fan Fiction.
oh, God.
I'm afraid that neither time we won, but we did have the pleasure of making the announcer repeat our name several times throughout the night each night. So that was worth it.
Did anybody in the bar besides you guys know Bible Black was?
I wish. I mean, they may have, but
Oh.
nobody said anything about it.
Oh
So
dear. I was gonna say, Derek, like I was watching the Avengers today, only the second time I've watched that film, and I was like, if we were all Avengers, who would we be? And I was kind of debating with you, like, would you
swear
be?
to God, if you say, what? Go ahead.
No. What's the square to God?
I feel like you're gonna tell me that I'm Scarlett Johansson.
No, I was gonna say Hawkeye. Jesus.
Oh, why? Because
That's actually worse than being Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson's awesome in that movie.
No.
yeah, that's what I'm
Hawkeye's
saying. No, there's nothing.
No.
Yeah, she's awesome. It's just because I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna be like, she's the woman. Haha.
No. Hawkeye's pretty amazing in that movie.
Railroad.
You know, considering what he had to do, I take back what I said about when I first saw that. I love that movie, but like I actually watched it the other day with my brother, and I actually think he's really good in it. I just think he's underutilized.
Okay, I can see that. That's Stephen Meyerink, everybody.
Taylor's on the boards.
Okay, so who would Derek be?
That's tough. I don't
Chris
know.
Evans.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he's Captain
I mean,
America.
Sure, I'll be Captain America. That's
Okay.
fine.
Who's
I don't think I'm quite snarky enough for Iron Man. Like I'm snarky, but I'm not enough of a womanizer
is Steven Iron Man?
or any bit of a womanizer. Uh, he could. Well, see, this is just I don't know who's who then. So who are you, Rob? Are you like Hulk because you're a
Nick
physics
Fury.
teacher?
Nick Furious.
I think I'm the Hulk.
Okay.
I
that's
think
fair.
I'm the Hulk because if you've ever seen me get really mad at a game,
You do rage quite a
You
bit.
know what though? He marries Jackie, and then she just looks at him. She goes, "Rob, how do you play all these games? And how do you survive them?" And you just look at her dead seriously with your controller, and you go, "That's my secret. I'm always angry." And then you punch a hole through the TV.
I love that scene, but that scene makes absolutely no sense. Like I really don't understand how Hulk goes from like trying to kill Scarlett Johansson to all of a sudden like he's under control and he's focused.
Well, the idea is that he's like they establish that he's got it under control, and then the ship blows up and he falls down, and the stick of doom or whatever is like affecting him. So he hits the ground, he loses control. Because he had control of it at the end of the Incredible Hulk.
I mean, I'm not complaining because it made, to Joss Whedon's credit, and I know I'm about ready to be positive towards Joss Whedon, which doesn't happen very often. He made the Hulk
Oh my-
interesting, which I relate. Don't start with me. The guy's only done two good things: Cabin in the Woods and The Avengers. Sorry.
And Firefly and
No, we're not doing this. We are not doing this. Firefly might be one of the most overrated things ever.
Look, Firefly is
No.
It got canceled after like a week.
Yeah,
How could it
good.
be overrated?
Yeah,
No, that
because
show is
because a bunch of Joss Whedon fanboys are just like, it's everybody else's fault that this got canceled except the viewers who didn't watch it.
Well, Arrested Development's better than most shows, and that got canceled.
And what's funny is I think that there's a little bit of Joss Whedon in the Avengers, but it's tolerable because he kept the focus on the Marvel characters. He didn't do his Joss Whedon like, here's a multicultural cast of badasses. Here's the part where the girl kicks ass and like the nerdy guy watches because that's apparently Joss Whedon's thing. It's kind of like the director for the Resident Evil movies being married to Mila Jovovich. It all becomes some kind of weird sexual thing when you're watching it, but whatever. Like he keeps the the focus on the characters, which is really good. But anywho, I would say I'm the Hulk. When Hulk rages out and does what he does to Loki.
Oh my god, dude! The part of the movie when he just when Captain America gives everybody orders and then it's just like Hulk smash. Like that's why I love going to midnight releases, because when that happened, everybody in the theater got up and started screaming. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Hulk just rips into everything.
The two best moments in that movie are when Hulk and Thor are right next to each other and Hulk just punches him. Like, that was hysterical. And then when Hulk just destroys Loki. Because it is just so funny, except the theater was laughing so hard we couldn't hear him say puny god as he walked away. But anywho, I would say I'm the Hulk. Steven, you can be Iron Man. That's fine. You can get paid more than all of us to be in the movie.
I was going to say that might actually be true.
I think so.
What?
Like, in real life. Well, Rob, I don't know. Rob's a big boy with his big boy job.
Hey, I get a new house.
It sure as hell ain't me.
Whoop whoop.
Nice. That's awesome. And the Jeffersons theme just started playing.
It is the west side of campus, not the east side of campus, which kind of defeats the whole thing. But yeah, I get to move into a new house over the summer, so I'm excited for that. But let's get back to E3, as we were sitting here getting all caught up in what Avenger is everybody.
You're the one who started it.
I was just thinking about it.
I have been kind of on a Marvel hook. Like, I completely legally watched Captain America last night, and again, and Captain America 2 is the best movie Marvel's ever made.
I need to see it.
It's
I really
so
need to.
good.
It's good. Yeah. I like
You know
it.
what isn't very good?
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh,
There we go.
that is a brutal segue.
Yeah.
I know what you're gonna say, and that's a little rough.
I'm gonna brutalize it a little bit.
Seriously, Rob. I mean, Dark Souls 2 is maybe not as good as the first one, but it's good.
Jesus,
Let's
it never
get-
ends.
Wow.
It never ends.
Wow. No. I was gonna say, you know what isn't very good? Transistor. It's not
So
very good.
we have divergent opinions on Transistor, slightly in some ways.
I'd say we're all down on it, but not
I-
of equal measure.
I think it is a worthwhile game to play.
I don't think it will harm you if you play it.
No, like if you spend the $20 to get it, you'll either really like it or you'll find it okay. I don't think it's an out and out bad game.
No, I would agree with that.
But and so, not to steal the whole conversation away, but we kind of disagree on the combat. I like the combat and think it's fun. I don't think it's the best thing ever, but I appreciate what it does. I like the customization and the sort of the degree of freedom you have to play it, and I like how consistently it presents its theme. But on the other hand, and I think you agree with me on this, I think the game just got its head so far up its own butt that I play it and I just want it to shut up.
Yeah, I'm not as big on the gameplay as you are, so I'll get into that later. But yeah, this game's really in love with itself, and I know
it has this vibe. Like it just has this vibe. Like, I'm so amazing. Don't you love me? Like, it's that guy at the party that has the damn handlebar mustache who's like sitting there with his PBR and he's like twirling his mustache and telling you about how he's been to France and Peru and like, you know, you're still living in your town that you grew up in, and like
I was gonna one up that analogy. I was gonna say it's the guy that gets the intellectual pot smoker, and everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that. The guy who smokes up at a party and then just sits on a couch and tells everybody how awesome he is.
Yeah, it's just I guess I'm in love, honestly, with the visual and audio design of Transistor.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
love the way it looks and sounds. I think like the color palette's amazing. I love the design of the city. I love the art that's in the menus, and I love the UI. All that is fantastic, but this game is permeated by a sense of like, I'm better than you, and it's so weird. Like, I don't even know if it's I'm better than you so much as like it's obvious that the developers sat around being incredibly smug and full of themselves when they were making this game. And I know that sounds really harsh, and it may not even be true, but that's the sense I get. And if we're all getting that same sense, I feel like
You know
I
what?
don't know that I don't know that I would go so far as to say the developers were smug about it. I think the developers made a game that they love. Like, I think that they made an experience that is reflective of what they like. And that's really cool and all, but I think the problem is that there was sort of this assumption that the game, people were in love with the game before it was even close to coming out. So like, there was never any doubt that people were going to heap a lot of praise on the game for the way it looks and for the presentation being as great as it is. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's still like, it's like the first Dark Souls. People take points off the first Dark Souls because it's not accessible. And I would agree, it's not. It has this sort of uncompromising design philosophy that makes it hard to get into for a lot of people. And if you dig into that, there's a lot to enjoy. But and this is the same sort of thing where they have this absolutely uncompromising visual aesthetic and sort of style to the game that, while it does create a unique and I would say memorable experience, it also makes the plot kind of nonsensical.
Yeah, I think that the pretentiousness argument for this game is coming from two areas that I think if they fix these two things, I think that our argument would go away. Stephen made the right point. The story is just convoluted, incomprehensible nonsense.
Like that's the thing, is
it's nothing.
It's not that it's not interesting, it's that there's this really weird minimalist / overly verbose. It is both minimalist and too wordy.
Yes.
And we'll get into why it's too wordy in a minute, because you better believe that.
Exactly. That's where I'm going, is that it spends a lot of time telling you things to not tell you things. And that's also playing into, I think, the biggest part of the pretentiousness. Supergiant Games has kind of become the narrator video games. Like, everybody praised the narrator in Bastion.
And he was awesome in Bastion. I thought it was really unique and fun, and like it was one of my favorite parts of Bastion.
Yep, and then there's Transistor, whose narrator is god awful.
It's not that terrible. It's not that his delivery is bad, because his delivery is just as expert as it was. And I appreciate the concept of having a voiceover like that, but he never shuts up. And it's like, I think the narrator is what makes me so sour on things. Because, again, I enjoyed the game enough to finish it. I thought it had a really cool final boss battle. I liked the combat. I loved the music. But that narrator, every time, I feel like he's, like, putting on his bowler and his vest to his friend's party with a bunch of undergrads who are, like, drinking Bud Light while he's drinking craft beers. And he's like, yeah, read Raymond Chandler last night. Great dark novel. Probably never heard of it. Pretty good, though. Go over there, Red. There's a thing. I'm going to tell you about it. But then you're not going to be able to hear me over the music. And then I'm going to keep talking. And then I'm going to talk to you like you know the story, even though I haven't presented it yet. And then I'm going to say, that's the process. They're bad. Yeah, I'm going over there now.
That, you guys just got what Transistor is. I mean, I wanted to mute him. I was and he's talking. It's like having you know what it is? It's like having a 5-year-old talk to you.
It's like having Navi.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's it.
But only if Navi is able to speak eloquently.
It's just, hey, listen, hey, listen.
It makes me sad, because I feel like the game, it's so full of incredible artistic potential, and this is one of those games that we were all looking at and being like, oh, could this be another good example of games as art? And I play it, and I actually haven't played it that much, and that makes me sad, because I got it on release day, and I put like an hour and a half into it, and for some reason I don't have the interest in booting it back up. Like, I'm totally going to. I just think that there's something wrong if I'm not so hooked that I want to jump right back into it, because that's what I expected to be like. I was so jazzed to buy it and start it up, and I was super, super into it, and then I played it the one time, and I haven't booted it up since then. I don't know why, or what all is contributing to that, other than I agree that the narrator is kind of irritating. I probably haven't played it enough to feel as strongly as you guys do, but it's that damn sense of pretentiousness. And I do take it back. I think that it's going a little bit far to be like, oh, the developers intentionally are being super smug. But that is absolutely the way that it comes across to me.
The game comes across as smug. Like, the game comes across as, I totally know I'm going to get 9s.
Yeah, I actually said that.
But and I agree, Derek, because I was really excited for it, because I loved it at E3, and I still like the time mechanic in combat, like where you can queue up actions. I really do like that. That's why I like the game so much, because with that kind of customization and that system, there's a lot of flexibility in how you want to fight your battles. But it's like, I think part of the reason you didn't want to get back into it, because I remember I got it to review it, and I had to play it pretty quickly. And I played it for like an hour one day, and then I didn't touch it again until the day before I had to review it and beat the whole thing. Because I didn't care about the world, because it's presented in such a way where you're not being shown anything, you're just being told. Yeah. Like they talk about all of this history and stuff in the world, and he's just babbling constantly. And I'm like, yeah, but nothing in the world reflects that. I'm still just running around, getting into fights, and walking to the next area.
Yeah, and
like, the world feels, for a world that is so dense and so richly designed, it feels completely empty and devoid of life.
Yeah, and I wasn't a big fan of the combat, and for me, this turn-based combat system that allows you to freeze time and plan out attacks, it wasn't as precise as I wanted it to be, but it does offer a lot of variety. Like you can do tons of different combinations with your skill set, but if you find something that works, the game the game's only incentive for you to use other pieces of equipment or other abilities is actually kind of interesting because you open up new story beats as you use different pieces of equipment. That's really cool.
See, I actually find that to be a really great impetus, and I feel like that was intentional. Like, if you want to just play with the skill set that's min-max effective, that's great. But this is, again, a game that takes the way it presents its story above all else in terms of, like, design.
Right,
so, like, I was actually swapping a lot because I was actually interested in those stories because they were the only things that were told in a way that was comprehensible.
Yeah, that's the thing that's actually keeping me going. The thing that makes me want to play the most is learning more of that story and unlocking those. So I appreciate that incentive, but
I guess I like games. I like games a little bit more where the ability set that I'm using gets more powerful as I go, and I unlock new move sets to augment my current move set. With this game, I had just about everything I wanted at the very start, and yeah, I did a little bit of switching, but then I always went back to my original starting stuff, and I was like, no, this feels good, but you never those abilities don't get stronger. And so I was just like, wow, I've seen the first 45 minutes I had with Transistor. After that, I played the same way for the next 3.5 hours, and it was really boring. It was really boring.
Well, I think I would argue, in the game's credit, that's also sort of a Persona 4 Golden type thing, where you have the ability to play the game in such a way that you never have to change personas, and you could just blast up one. But why would you play it that way if you don't like it as much?
That's true. That's true. I just
I agree that it's weird to have to force yourself to play a certain way because it's available. But on the other hand, it's cool that they've designed a system where you can play it either way and both work.
Yeah, I guess. And then the other thing, and I know Steven really disagrees with me on this. When I realized how the death mechanic worked in this game, where when you technically lose all your life, you lose one of your 4 abilities, and as long as you have one ability, you can keep fighting. That turned the entire game into a war of attrition for me, where I was like, well, even if I lose all my health on this encounter, there's no way I'm going to lose all my health twice, so I'm just going to barrel through it, and then when you get to the next save point, you just get all your skills back. And that, I know that there's varying difficulty levels in this game, but especially on one of the middle bosses of the game, it didn't feel like I could avoid any of the attacks. It didn't feel like I could do anything. It just became Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit the boss, and then he's gonna hit me, and then I'm gonna hit him, and then he's gonna hit me, and then I'm gonna. Okay, well, I can do the math here. He's gonna take out all my life in one, so I'm gonna lose one ability, and then I killed him. All right, that was fun. Like, that was just weird. It feels like this system just doesn't come together. There were moments where the game was telling me I was going to get a backstab for extra damage, and then the enemy would turn and I wouldn't, or it would tell me that the enemy was going to fly into this explosion and it wouldn't, and I just stopped caring. I stopped trying to play it cool. I found the combat to just be boring and honestly a hurdle because I kept expecting the story to open up and interest me, and with the exception of the last boss fight, which I do think has some cool ideas going on there. I don't know if they exactly work, but there's some cool stuff going on there. The combat felt like it was impeding my story progress, and then when I found out that there was no story to progress to, I just immediately... I can't even remember this game. I cannot even remember it. It's a game I played.
Well, in that case, it's better than Dungeons & Dragons Daggerfall.
It's better than Lucius, I guess.
Oh, God. That's a game that actively hurt you for playing it.
Yeah, it's a game that just... I don't know. It's weird. I just did not get into it, and granted, I wasn't a big fan of Bastion, but, man, I would have much rather have played Bastion than this.
Yeah. I'll have more thoughts as I actually play it some more, and I don't want to judge it too completely this early, but yeah, I mean, it's not a good sign so far. I want to love it. I really do. Like, I haven't wanted to love a game this much since Ni no Kuni, where I played it and I was like, everything about this should work for me, and it's not, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I found I was in the same category as you, Derek. I actively didn't want to pick it up. Like, I found I was sitting down at the computer and going, Okay, I got to get that Transistor review done. Let me check my email. Okay, nothing on the email. All right, let me check what's on game trailers right now. Okay. No, I don't. And then Jackie was actually like, "You need to play that game for review." I'm like, "Do I have to?" It felt like a homework assignment. I
And, but
just
it, and
didn't
it's and
want to
it's not
play
that
it.
bad is the thing. Like, well, maybe for you, but
No, it
I don't feel
wasn't
like it's
bad.
anywhere near that bad. But it just something about it.
Something
Yeah,
doesn't click.
that's the thing is I actively say it's an enjoyable game that I feel like you know it's worth buying, but it's also one that's just like well, whatever. It's really pretty, and that's kind of all I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I feel like we've kind of exhausted our thoughts on that. Our
Our
limited,
our, our
completely
bastioning.
apathetic thoughts.
Yeah. It's a shame. You know, I don't know. Blah. Honestly, that's how I felt about it. Was just me.
Meh. Well, hopefully I
How
won't
about
read it.
how about something that is decidedly not meh?
Yeah,
Well,
Derek.
it's
Well,
but meh is not
I
the
was
word
gonna
you could
say
use.
I have much stronger feelings about this game. So, and they're not necessarily positive. It's, oh god, Drakengard 3 is such a weird game. So weird. So I played a lot of it because I reviewed it, and it's a game that has to be okay. So it's kind of misleading in that you have to quote unquote beat the game more than once to get the full story, but you don't have to like replay the game from the beginning every single time. So let me start back. Let me go back a little bit here. So Drakengard 3 is a weird game. It's like where do I even start talking about this game? So like I don't know how familiar you guys are with Drakengard. So 1 and 2 were released on the PS2. They were really crappy Dynasty Warriors-esque games mixed with crappy aerial combat, but they had some of the weirdest stories out there, like absolutely bonkers off the wall, like unusual and compelling stories. Like the first one had, I think she was an elf who, I think her children were murdered or something, and then she lost her mind, and then she decided that she wanted to eat babies. So she like follows you around, and she's like, "Are there any children to eat?" And there's like incest and people cutting out their own tongues and or like giving away parts of their body to make pacts with dragons. Like the main character of Drakengard 1, he gives up his ability to speak in order to make a pact with a dragon so that he can live, because I think he's mortally wounded. I may be misremembering that, but it was something along those lines. But there's all this weird stuff about like evil gods and alternate dimensions and stuff. Like it's almost kind of, I don't want to say Lovecraftian, but it's very, very odd. Like because they look like generic medieval RPGs when you look at the boxes, but they're so far out, so different from that. And Drakengard 3 absolutely carries on that tradition. So Drakengard 3 is the story of Zero, who is an intoner, which is like a magic song goddess. And she, along with her, well, not along with them, but she has these sisters, these 5 other sisters, and they each rule over a different part of the world with their song magic. So they're basically like the linchpins that hold the world together.
They are
So
the Lords
Zero,
of Shadow.
yes, sure,
Ugh.
something like that. So Zero, in the very beginning of the game, is like, I'm gonna kill my sisters because I'm crazy, and you're like, what's going on? And the game doesn't tell you what's going on basically until like the very end. Um, it's just it's a completely insane game is all I can really say. Um, so you're on this quest to murder your sisters, literally, and you do, absolutely do, very viciously, and it's just, but it's not at all what it appears at first glance, much like the other two games. So like, and but even this one is starting from a stranger place than the other two started, so it goes even further out into left field. I feel like. Um, the game itself is basically another Dynasty Warriors clone-esque sort of game, except instead of having big open areas, you go along very linear paths. So this is the Final Fantasy 13 of Dynasty Warriors, I guess, if you want to call it that. Um, it's a hack and slash game. It has really simple combat. You have 4 weapon types. You have gauntlets, swords, chakrams, and spears. But among those 4 types, there's only a little bit of variation in actual moves. It's pretty much just like mash attack and throw in some strong attacks and dodge sometimes. And yet it manages to be maddeningly difficult with some of the encounters because enemies can like two-shot you and you have to redo a stage. But the way the game is structured is like you're just going through 4 stages of tedious hacking and slashing and then one interesting boss fight. and then you repeat that for the entire game.
Are
Uh,
there can you ride a dragon?
you can in some of the stages, but it's like
Wasn't that the entire point of this series?
no. Well, I mean that's it's part of the series. You always have the ability to, but it's like a side thing almost. Um,
Oh,
the hack and slash stages outnumber the dragon stages like 4-1.
oh.
So it is. I don't like it's so mind-numbingly repetitive and boring. And not only that, but when you die, you have to repeat whatever stage you were on, which may not seem like a lot, but when you make it through there are some checkpoints, but like when you make it through most of a stage and then you get two-shotted by some crap, it's really, really, really irritating because the game plays like crap. It has an atrocious frame rate. Like it drops down to, I mean, I can't really estimate, but it definitely like 30 frames is its max. It drops down to like 20 all the time, maybe 15, I don't know. But there's constant slowdown. It looks bad. Like the actual engine is pretty ugly. The main character models look decent, but all the enemies are just nameless, faceless soldiers that look identical to one another, a la Dynasty Warriors. Um, Textures are grainy, color palette super muddy. It looks bad and it runs worse. So like when you hear me complain about how I think Dark Souls doesn't run super well, like that's nothing compared to this. This is just bad. Even in cutscenes, it looks bad. It's stuttery. Like the frame rate noticeably drops whenever there are effects on the screen during cutscenes, and I'm just like,
How did that
this not-
happen?
Right, like there had to have been a point where there was some QA happening or some optimization happening, and they were like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, no, it's really not. So this is clearly not an A, like their A team's effort. This is a B or maybe even a C team that had been working on this on the side. But so the game is like it looks bad, it plays pretty bad, and it's repetitive. So why do I not hate it completely? Because it has such a weird and engaging narrative and an amazing soundtrack.
Hmm.
Yeah, it does.
The story is so interesting and so bizarre that it kept me playing. Like every time I got pissed off because I was tired of getting stomped by these stupid enemies and going down these stupid identical corridors, I'd be like, I gotta see the cutscene because I gotta know what's going on. This is so damn weird. Um, to its credit, there was some really interesting character building happening before the game came out because there was a pretty cool novella written, and they actually they translated it into English, and we're uploading it chapter by chapter on the game's official website. So there's a lot of really, really cool backstory for the characters that's there that is not included in the game. And I feel like I just keep saying it's weird and I'm not really giving examples of it. So, okay. So the main character, Zero, she is basically immortal. She has a flower growing out of her eye that's like a parasitic monster that gives her eternal life in exchange for sucking away her soul and her humanity and like weakening into her body. So eventually it's going to like consume her, I guess. So she's on this quest to kill her sisters who are all insatiable, like they all have an insatiable sex drive. And they each have a disciple, which is like basically a sex slave. And they even kind of they talk about it in the game, which is surprising because a lot of games like this may have things like that mentioned in the background material, but they don't really get into it in the game. But they absolutely do. They're like, oh yeah, he's just your sex slave. He means nothing to you. That kind of stuff. There's one character. So the four disciples are all also insane. One of them is he looks like a 15-year-old boy that is a complete sadist.
Also
Um,
insane.
yeah, he's a sadist. He delights in torturing people. He talks about like, oh, I wonder what it'd look like if I skinned them alive and tore their insides out. So that's normal. There's one guy that's an extreme masochist who gets extreme pleasure out of being tormented in any way whatsoever, like being ignored. And he's like, oh, I love. Well, he doesn't say it, but he's like, oh, enduring pain is so amazing. So he's bizarre. There's an old man that supposedly has like the largest penis in the entire world or something like that.
Okay.
And he never ever stops talking about it ever. Like, and the way the game is written is like they speak very casually about these things and in such a way that I wouldn't expect to hear in a video game. Like, she'll just be like, "Will you Zero will be like, will you shut up about your junk already?" And he's like, "Oh, but I want you to please me tonight." Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Can I just to halt you real quick? You know what I'm having flashbacks to?
What?
Our discussion about Nier.
Yeah, because this is in the same universe.
So is the Nier universe just like wannabe hentai? Like what the hell's going on here? Like what?
No, there's just I think that I was reading something like an interview with the director who is saying that he feels like sexuality isn't really explored in games, so he wants to bring it up in such a way where it's not just like, oh, they went to the strip club and saw boobs.
Yeah, it's like we'll
Uh,
handle it like 12-year-old little kids, and that'll make
I
it better.
yeah, I mean,
No,
it's
I kind of disagree that that is handling it like 12-year-old kids. People joke about that kind of stuff all the time, and I mean, the mere presence of it doesn't make it infantile.
No, but the way it can go on and on and on can. I mean that can end up destroying it, can it
well,
not?
yeah,
Like
that's exactly what we talked about with Conception. Like Conception was incredibly one note with the way that it presented sexuality. I feel like Drakengard 3 does handle it better. It does get some of its jokes are repetitive, but none of it feels infantile to me. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It does. It's just so freaking whacked out there that I don't get that same feeling that I did with Conception. I'm having a really hard time articulating why, but the game is just basically it just pushes you on because you want to know why. Like, why does Zero want to kill her sisters? Like, why are her sisters all insane? Well, they're not all insane. Some of them are, but it's like, what, why do they act the way they do? Like, what's happening here with the overarching plot? And like I said, you don't really get to know until you've actually beaten the game several times. But like once you beat it the first time, you get, well, I don't want to say too much about what's going on, but basically you get like an extra chapter, so it's just 5 stages. And then at the end of that, you get another chapter that's 5 stages, and each one has a new ending to the game, and they're all kind of like parallel timelines. And you'll understand why all that's happening as you play it. But it's it certainly is an interesting game, and it's, as much as I rail on it for being not fun to play, it is interesting. Although I wouldn't really suggest buying it. I would just suggest like listen to that soundtrack and watch cutscenes on YouTube or something like that, because the game is not super fun. And speaking of the soundtrack, so like I said, this is in the same universe as Nier, so there are some very tenuous connections between the two. But a real life connection between the two is that it has the same sound team behind it. It's a Monaka, I think, and the main composer for that is Keiichi Okabe, who handled the soundtrack for Nier. So this is another soundtrack full of really interesting, dynamic, very unusual for RPG/video game melodies. There's a lot of styles that I don't typically see represented in games. Like there's like gabber in one of the boss songs, because again, the game kind of has like a vaguely medieval setting. So when you get to a boss and it's your sister, and this is the first sister, so here's a slight spoiler. So apologies, it's not too much of one. She kills her sisters. That's what happens. So your first sister like dies, and then spawns a gigantic evil like demon/angel crab, and then Gabber starts playing, and it's like da 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 dum 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 dum, and you're like, what is happening? Like, this is not at all what I expected to hear from this game. But the soundtrack is so cool because it completely subverts your expectations all the time. Each sister/boss fight has like its own unique song. Lots of really cool soft vocal themes in between stages and stuff. I think, what's her name? I feel horrible for not remembering it. The who did Song of the Ancients from Nier? What's the name of the vocalist, Steven? You know, thinking about it. See, I don't know why.
Amy Evans. Amy Evans.
Yes, Emmy Evans. Thank you. So she does a lot of the vocal work for the game, and she's excellent as usual. So all I can really say is listen to the soundtrack, watch the cutscenes. The game is weird and broken, but super interesting.
Hmm.
It's not something I can really recommend, because I can't endorse a game that is basically busted on a technical level. I just don't understand why they didn't spend time fixing some of these problems that they clearly could have fixed. Like, there are design things that I can understand. Like, okay, if you want to have the stages be long and tedious, whatever, that's fine. But like the actual frame rate being bad is just
at this
bizarre.
stage in the PS3 generation, with the game looking like it does, that's basically just all right. The game's done. Put it out.
Yeah, and the camera's crap too. Like, you constantly the camera gets stuck on stuff, or oh god, there's one boss fight where you're on your dragon in a church, and you're like flying around on your dragon inside of the church, and your camera gets caught up in the corners of the church roof, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's so infuriating because you have to dodge very precisely in that fight. I don't know how that kind of stuff made it through QA. Weird freaking game, man. And I think I expected to like it, or I expected it to be a little bit better than it was. I know I had been hyping it up a bit because I really wanted to see what was going on with the story and the soundtrack. And it's
See, that
not like
was that was
unplayable,
actually
but
sorry, that was actually kind of how I felt. Like we talked about it before. Like a lot of people were hyping it up, and I felt like it got a lot of hype because of the soundtrack and not because of the predecessors. Because like Drakengard 1 and 2 weren't that good either. And like
yeah,
not that I was
I
expecting
figured
this to
that
be totally terrible, but like
I thought it
I
was
didn't.
going to be on the same level as Nier at least because it was like, okay, so they've learned things between Drakengard 2 and Nier also wasn't the best game ever, but it was certainly playable, and it was good enough that I didn't really mind playing it a lot of the time because the story was interesting. But so basically, I expected about the same. Like I expected on a scale, I expected like a 7.5 out of 10, um, something that didn't offend me, but something that didn't excite me. And Drakengard 3 is actually a little bit worse off than that.
Mm.
So that was a bummer. I rated it a 68, I believe.
It's kind of interesting. We talked about Transistor and Drakengard 3, two games that, yeah, at least with Transistor, when I was playing that, I was pushing through the gameplay that I wasn't enjoying to hopefully get to story that never really came. With Drakengard 3, it sounds like you pushed through gameplay you weren't interested to get to story that you were interested in. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, I am not. I think I'm reaching a point where
Feels like a
this.
waste of my time, you know? Like I
Yeah,
have so many other things I could be
I
playing.
would much rather read. This gets back to that point that I've brought up before about narrative in video games. Like, I'm in the middle of reading All You Need Is Kill, which is the basis of that new
Hey,
Tom Cruise.
I'm reading that too.
Yeah, I'm like, I only have about 30 pages left, and I'm really enjoying it. I really like how they handle their time travel stuff.
It's I
It's
would say
interesting.
it's schlocky, but it's good.
Oh, of
Like
course it's schlocky, but I'm enjoying it.
yeah, like it's I would call it like
It's
guilty
pulpy.
pleasure potato chips reading.
It's pulpy. Like it's like pulpy. I like that. But when I'm reading a book, you don't hit a bad boss or like a bad gameplay section, and then they go, "Hey, you need to reread the past 20 pages." And so I just don't know if I'm not enjoying a game. I remember people made this argument about The Last of Us. People were like, "Yeah, I'm not really enjoying the gameplay that much, but I'm really liking the storyline." I don't know if I could do that with a game anymore at my age, getting ready to go on 30 this year, God help me. I don't know if I can do that anymore. If I could play a game that I'm not enjoying from a gameplay perspective just to see the story.
I think I definitely still can.
I
Because
mean,
there are
I
just
can. I don't
there are,
want that to be
like
the case.
like yeah, I don't want that to be the case all of the time, but I'm willing to do it in certain situations.
I think that's what was holding me back on Transistor, honestly. Was like I was interested to see the story, but the gameplay was such a slog for me that I wasn't willing to sit down and put the time into it,
But
you know?
we've already decided that the story didn't live up in
No,
Transistor.
it
If the
didn't.
story had been interesting, you might have been less sour on it at the end. When I'm like, yeah, it was meh, but I like the story.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good
So
point.
And that's
between
the
the two
thing is,
games, I think like Transistor is a better game with a story that didn't pan out, and Drakengard 3 is a worse game with a story that did pan out.
Well,
yeah,
We want
and
Drakengard 3 to be an anime, preferably without
That would
tentacles.
be awesome. I think
yeah, no, I
it
would
would work
watch that.
really well as an anime.
I
Without tentacles.
I have this sort of like
Without tentacles.
I'm willing to play. I know, no tentacles. Got it.
I have black fan fiction.
I'm willing to play a game that's maybe less good if the story's really interesting, and more specifically if the characters are interesting. Just because and I don't know if we brought this up before, but I don't really believe that if something is a piece of art, and games art, whatever, I'm not having that debate, but a piece of art is not necessarily obliged to present itself to you in a certain way. And while I don't think that excuses crappy gameplay, I do think that sort of the harrowing experience of playing Drakengard, while it's not fun, is still not something you're likely to forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
won't forget the story for sure.
And exactly, and it's tied into the story. Now, obviously, we like it when the game can be good too. But you run into some interesting scenarios. Like, I mean, look at 999. 999 isn't much of a game. It's what's there is pleasant, But did any of us say, "Oh, I love the puzzles in 999. I would play it over and over again for the puzzles"?
I liked
No,
the
that's
puzzles when
good.
I was.
That's 'cause it's the kind
Go
of
ahead.
thing where like you solve it once and then you know what the solution is.
Right.
Well, I mean more like, say you want to re-experience the story. Are you going to say, "I can't wait to redo the puzzles"? Like,
Right.
That's a good point, actually.
Maybe a bad example because you have to do that anyway. But like,
No.
think about VLR. Are you going to go
Unless you play
redo
it on
the
iOS.
touche? But at that point, what's left of the game? Like,
Yeah,
you're just reading and getting a story, and then you're getting a book with graphics and music, which is amazing.
I-
But like, here's a better example: VLR. You don't have to repeat anything. Are you ever going to replay VLR and redo all the puzzles?
I was trying to get in there for like 5 minutes, Steven, and you kept cutting me off. I love you. But like, your VLR argument is actually very true, and that's something I hadn't thought of before. That's a good retort to my argument, which is by the end of VLR, I actually was really tired of the puzzles. I think VLR's puzzles were all over the place. Some were really good, and some were kind of heinous and really pissed me off. And at that point, I was pushing through the gameplay to get to the story. So that is a good example in your favor. So yeah, I can see that.
Now, but on the other hand, I really enjoyed the puzzles and the gameplay in VLR, but I'm probably not going to play it again. And I'm certainly not like, I like the puzzles; they're better than 99. But I'm not going to go to someone and say, the puzzles in VLR are amazing. You got to play it for the puzzles. Everyone is playing VLR for the story.
Right.
And again, that's a visual novel, so maybe not the fairest of comparisons, but I still think it's a great experience that wouldn't have been the same if it had just been a novel I was reading. It is not presentable in novel format. Like, I mean, sure, you could just have a chapter end and have it restart and be like, oh, everything's rewound. But you don't get that level of interactivity, which changes how you perceive and how you interact with a story.
Right. I mean, that's what I've always wanted in video games is I want video games to take their ability to tell narrative in unique ways. Go back to the big reveal in BioShock 1. I love that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that can only be done in video games. Like that sort of stuff to me is what sets video games apart, and that's when I get really interested. And you're right. VLR only works as a video game. I believe John said that in his review. I agree with him. I think BioShock Infinite only works as a video game. To some extent, I would say The Last of Us only works as a video game. Those kinds of experiences are really important to me, and that's when gameplay and narrative come together to make something better than the sum of the two parts.
Crisis Core.
Yes. Oh god, the ending sequence of Crisis Core, perfect.
Yeah, I've seen that on
Compared to
YouTube.
gameplay.
I've seen that on YouTube. I really like that. Wow, I would really love to be able to play that game.
Yeah, well, maybe you will be soon. Dude, like, again, no spoilers, but, like, the ending of Crisis Core, the fact that you've already spent so many hours playing that game and, like, learning the battle system, to have things happen the way they do and for you to basically be unable to change it is so cool because they're, like, playing on your expectations of that system to give you an emotional reaction. Like,
Yep.
Not possible outside of the game.
Yep.
That game.
Of course, I'm also perfectly okay with, the turn-based RPG where you go to a town, go to a dungeon, go home, as long as the story's good. I don't mind a more traditional presentation of narrative. The thing is, if you're not going to have a good narrative, you got to have good gameplay. If you're not going to have good gameplay, you might want to have something going on.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I mean, that gets to what we were talking about before, and possibly an E3 prediction about whether or not we're going to see Fallout 4. It's amazing to me how Bethesda wrote Fallout 3 and how interesting that world was, and then you get to Skyrim, and what did you call it? Generic McGenericson?
I said it's the genericiest generic that ever generic to generic.
Yeah, which is really a shame because Fallout 3 was amazing. Like, Fallout 3 just feels like it's telling all these interesting stories, and it's really steeped in its lore, and it was so... Maybe it's just the whole post-apocalyptic thing I find way more interesting, which brings us to... Segue.
Wasteland 2!
Wow. Holy crap. I went from... I will... You know what, guys? Have I told you...
Wait a minute.
No. Stop. No.
This is my moment to shine!
Okay, so tell the story, and then I'll go.
Just wanted to point out that those of our listeners know that Rob has been down on Wasteland since it was announced. And not necessarily for gameplay reasons, but I personally, and again, I love you, Rob, I feel as though Rob was letting his disdain for the way the game was marketed make him decide that the game was not going to be any good.
No, it didn't make me decide the game wasn't going to be good. It turned me off to the whole thing. I wasn't interested in pursuing it, to be fair.
I will... Okay, yes.
That's very different from saying it's going to be bad. But you're right. And now I'll point out how I'm an idiot.
No, I'm not going to point out you're an idiot. Just going to say I am going to point out that I'm at. Oh, I was in South Carolina visiting my family, and I get on Steam for a little bit, and Rob is like, "Dude, Wasteland has a thing in the main menu. It's $50 DLC. I can't believe it." And I'm like, "Dude, that doesn't make any sense." And like he's telling me about it, and he is raging out like just as Rob can do. Like an hour later, you go, "Dude, it was a joke," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You click on it, and it says just kidding." And then you're like, the game is so good, and I'm like,
Yeah, what I was trying to say before Steven thoroughly embarrassed me, I have a new outlook on life. You guys ready for it? I was actually explaining it to some of my colleagues during our end of the year faculty meeting, and they all kind of looked at me strange until I explained it. I have come to the determination that I like to be proven wrong. And
I actually like that too.
I like to be proven wrong because I have a very cynical, snarky outlook on life where I have a tendency to let my cynicism ride too much whenever I see something. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go, another this, another that, another this. It's kind of like the internet troll mentality, and I really hate the way that my brain always goes to that. Okay, I'm not happy about the fact that my brain goes that, but I have a lot of data points to point in that direction.
That's what you have us for.
Well, no, I have a lot of data points to point in that direction as EA announces a new Battlefield before the newest one's been fixed. But what I've decided is I like to be proven wrong because if I'm proven wrong, then that means that my cynical, awful outlook on life is incorrect. And I really like that. So when I clicked on that thing on Wasteland 2's menu, I said, oh, they got me. That's awesome that you guys got me. That's great. I like to be proven wrong. And then I started playing Wasteland 2, and the best way I can describe it is for all of those people that pissed and moaned when they saw Bethesda was making Fallout 3, and they said, we want a modern Fallout game that plays like the old games. Guess what? You're getting it in August, and it's awesome. It's really, really awesome. This is a turn-based game where you create a party of 4 with all different abilities. Steven had a guy that could apparently fix a toaster and another guy that could spot places on maps.
There's a stat for toaster repair. Like,
yes, there is.
I was like, Rob, what is this stat for? And you were like, it lets you fix toasters. And I was like, least helpful response ever. Thank you. No, actually, the character Surf Embryon in my party is a pro at fixing toasters.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Just like in real life.
There you go.
Yes.
Just don't stick a knife in it.
Also, the joke of I think from what I understand, toasters can like have like information or treasure in them for some reason. I don't know, but I'm like, whatever. I'll buy it.
And it's got
Just like real life.
Its turn-based combat is very similar to XCOM, and in some ways, it's kind of amazing that this.
So you wait. So you
No. Here's the fun part. They've actually managed to outdo XCOM in a lot of ways. It's very clear where you can see the enemy range, the range of enemy attacks, the range of your attacks. They're doing it so that it's just like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, where turns take place in between other people's turns. So it's not just, hey, all your guys go and then all the enemies go. It's weighty and super violent. Steven, you hit a guy with a shovel and apparently they exploded.
Well. So yeah, what you're trying to describe is it's Fallout with a party, and that's awesome. Like it plays very similarly to the old Fallout, like with AP and movement ranges, but with a lot of modern like information presented to you to make combat a little more easy to follow. Not easier to play because it's not babysitting you, and it's actually quite challenging. But there are like conveniences like being able to see the radius of your attacks and like the optimal gun radius and stuff. But yeah, I was playing and I was like, oh, I was a little bummed out to not see any like things like perks where I could get bloody mess, because that's what you play Fallout for, is you hit a guy in the toe and his head blows up. But I got attacked by some raiders and I ran up and I hit one guy in the gut with a knife and then his body blew up.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that didn't make any sense, but I'm okay with it.
It is turn-based Fallout, so I guess it's very similar to Fallout Tactics, which I never played.
Well, Fallout 1 and 2 have the exact same kind of combat.
Right.
As Fallout Tactics. It's just Fallout Tactics, you could have a party, and there just wasn't a very fun game built around Fallout Tactics.
Yeah, the writing in the game is outstanding. They have a nice little descriptor bar in the bottom right-hand corner that kind of narrates your journey and what you see. The voice acting's been really good from what I've seen of it so far. It's got a really great survival vibe. The best thing.
The
Go ahead.
conversations are cool too. Like,
Oh yeah.
when you're talking to people, so you get your pop-ups of like, if they give you like a term, you can ask about that term, but you can also type anything you want in. So if you pay attention to the world, you can find like terms that somebody doesn't mention to you and ask them about it and get new information. So like if you're out and you hear like a pack of raiders like talking about something, like, oh, there's a vault over there. This is just a hypothetical. You can go to somebody who's an expert in the area and type like, what is the vault? And they'll like be like, oh yeah, this thing. So there's a really cool like conversational aspect to it that isn't just canned preset phrases. That it's quite compelling, actually.
And what do you know about the Wild Rose?
Have you seen any sailors?
Tell me the airship.
There's got to be somebody. There's got to be somebody in the game that you can ask about sailors. Also, you get perks like whether or not you're a badass in conversation or a smooth talker. And since you have 4 party members, you can kind of go back and forth between the 4 party members. And maybe you don't want to be a badass to this guy, or you want to try to smooth talk through this. It feels.
And those are separate from the charisma stat too. So
yeah,
like you could have a really blunt, terrible badass who's horrible at convincing people, but just angry and mean.
Hulk smash. It feels like a modern Fallout or a modern a Baldur's Gate, which is what I've really wanted. I think gamers have really wanted these intricate PC games, but I was telling Steven on the pre-show warm-up, playing the original Fallout wasn't a very pleasant experience by today's standards, like inventory management and this that. It just was kind of clunky. This game feels modern, but still has those old school hardcore conventions. And, I think gamers are in for a real treat in August. This game shot up to the top of my most wanted list for this year. Like, I went from being, oh, this looks interesting, but I'm not too sure of it, to holy hell, I am going to get this. This is really, really cool.
What's that? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't play Fallout 1 and 2 as a kid, when they came out, and I tried to go back and play Fallout 2 probably like 2 years ago, and I think we talked about it on the podcast, but it didn't really work for me. It was just too archaic for me, and I felt like I didn't really have the nostalgia attached to help power me through the learning curve. So this sounds like it's exactly what I wanted it to be, so I'm going to check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And what's amusing is that we got the preview code for it, and I took it and then forgot that I had actually backed Torment at the level that I got a free copy. So I'm going to be giving somebody a free copy of Wasteland 2 when it comes out.
So me, right?
Sure.
Possibly. See how drunk you get him at E3.
He's going to get pretty drunk because I owe him a beer for beating Persona 4 on very hard. And then he did something else recently. Oh, I owe him a beer because his birthday just passed. So that's not going to be a beer. That's going to be probably like a hard drink, whatever he wants. And then I'm going to owe him one more beer just for being a cool guy.
Aww.
So first night's drinking is on me.
Yes, I owe Derek a beer as well. Know what I'm saying?
Rob, you get nothing.
I understand. I can pay for my own beer. That's fine.
Wow.
Wasteland 2, really, really impressive. Really excited. I hope to get a preview written when we get back from E3. I want to spend a little bit more time with the preview build, get a little bit further. It looks like it's going to be pretty long. There's going to be a lot to the game. There's a lot of exploration, a lot of areas that you don't have to visit, but you definitely can.
The world map works just like Fallout, which is awesome. I love the Fallout world map system.
Yep, it's really cool. I think it's definitely in beta right now. It's got some problems here and there for a game that's still a couple months away, but overall, I'm just really, really excited. And keep in mind, like, this was one of the biggest Kickstarter games. This was one of the first Kickstarter games. It hit the ground running. Got this huge groundswell of support. They've had to delay the game a couple times, but it lights at the end of the tunnel, and it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of the big Kickstarters have been coming out and being like really good. Like Banner Saga was amazing. Broken Age was awesome. This is shaping up to be awesome. So I'm like, I'm glad all the big, like so far we have, there was all that doom and gloom where, the big Kickstarter games are going to come out. And if they're bad, Kickstarter is going to implode on itself. And I'm sure there will be bad games that come out, but it's pretty nice to see that, the passion of these people is not going unrewarded.
Yeah, and the pace of their combat is interesting. Like, I didn't get as far into Shadowrun Returns as I kind of wanted to. I need to give that another try. I
Oh,
just
I beat that the other day.
I just didn't feel like its pace of combat was where I wanted it to be, but Wasteland 2's feels right where it should be. Like, it's short, it's snappy, it's violent, it's visceral. It doesn't hang around too much. They actually incentivize you to kind of plan out because you usually get the jump on raiders and stuff, and so you can kind of plan where your guys should be and then go out and make the first initial attack. It feels really good.
I
Very
would agree.
positive. Very positive. Okay, we ready to talk about E3, or Steven, you had one more game to talk about, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I'll just mention it briefly. It's the Denpamen 3, and I've been playing it for review, and I really, really didn't like it at first. Because I didn't realize until like 5 hours in that you could. At first, I thought you could only give two commands. You could give conserve or go all out, and you didn't have individual control over your party, which grows to up to 8 people. And then I figured out last night, or like the other night, when I accidentally tapped the touchscreen, I was like, oh, you can issue individual commands. Great. Uh, so it's this game where you use the camera and the motion sensor to capture these little creatures called Denpamen, who have horrifyingly annoying voices, um, and ugly, ugly, terrible, ugly faces. They look like Mii's, basically. Um, so I don't know the history behind this series, but it's a turn-based RPG. You collect these little monsters, and you build your city, and you can collect certain numbers of them, and each one has like a special skill and different stats, and then, they level up. So you mix and match your party based on theoretically your situation, and there's a lot of customization in like an Animal Crossing vein, I guess. Like you can put furniture in your house and decorate it, and it doesn't seem to do much other than like cosmetics. So it's sort of like the collectivophile's dream. Um, like there's a lot to it that is fun if you just like a game. It's easy, and you can kind of spend some hours, collecting Denpamen, going to the dungeon for a little bit, explore the world map. I don't know what I think of it yet. Like it's weird, and the story's dumb. Like it's very the story feels like it's aimed at like 5-year-olds.
Oof.
No, I don't say that in a negative way. I mean, I legitimately think this is a game that's sort of aimed at a younger audience.
Oh, okay, that's different.
But it's not bad. Like the writing is good. It's just it's nothing. They're not telling me the story of Fei Fong Wong. They're telling me the story of, hey, Squelch stole Crystal. We have to go save her. And the Denpamen are like, let's go over there, get it. Like that's how they talk.
Yep.
But there's a lot. There's a good amount of customization to it. So it's certainly entertaining. It's just too soon for me to say much else about it. Like I thought I was farther, but it's a pretty big game, especially for a downloadable game. I guess just what turns me off it is I just think all the Denpamen look stupid. So I'm like not really compelled to dye my Denpamen or do like things to customize their houses, because I'm like, you have an ugly face and you're like an orange blob with a Saturn ring around your head, and it's weird and sort of like blandish, but I think it's kind of like Rune Factory, only if Rune Factory, instead of being Harvest Moon and a like an action RPG, was a turn-based RPG and Animal Crossing. So like it's certainly not a bad game. It's quick, the combat's snappy, the music is actually really cool. And it can be challenging at times. It's a little grindy, but I'm not willing to say it's a bad game or even an okay game. But it's just I think it might be a little bit light for what I usually like to play.
Yeah, it is kind of light. I just got an eShop credit the other day because I forgot about the Wii U Digital Deluxe promotion, where like if you bought the Wii U the deluxe set for the first, I think, year at least of ownership, everything you buy on the eShop you get 10% back, like in points, and every 500 points you get a $5 credit. So I had just gotten the free game because I've been playing me some Mad Mario Kart, and it came with the free Club Nintendo game. So I downloaded that, and that counted for points. So that brought me up to enough for $5. Really long-winded introduction there that you didn't need. But so I was trying to decide what to buy with the $5. So I was asking people, and I almost got Denpamen, but then I realized there was a demo of it. So I downloaded the demo, and I wasn't really loving it. So I'm glad that I only got the demo. But yeah, the game is it's like a very simple. It's like you said, it's a simple RPG, I think, for collectaholics.
And kids would really enjoy it. Like, and I don't say that to disparage it at all, and certainly not that an adult couldn't enjoy it too. But yeah, like I agree with you. Like Collectaholics will have a field day with it.
Yeah, it's not the deepest game. It certainly has more features because I remember I played the demo of Denpaman 1, and this one has a lot more stuff as far as, like you said, with the room decorating and a lot of town stuff. Extra features like you can share QR codes with friends. I don't know if that was in the first one or not, but that's kind of cool. Like if you want to share your Denpaman with other people. The only thing that I don't really like is it's pretty much just random. Like you just catch like Denpaman that look random.
Yeah,
And
like
have random names and stuff. Like I don't really care if Lorenzo has a hard antenna I can cast light heal. Like I want to do it myself and create
actually,
my
I have a Denpaman named Joffrey, and that amuses me to no
own.
end. But yeah,
Usually
like they're like, go catch more Denpamen. I'm like, nah, I have a full party. I don't need more Denpamen. Why would I do that? Like, no. Like, and I think part of that is just that I'm not into the monster collecting style of game at all. Like, I need more impetus than make your monsters good. Like, I love it in Shin Megami Tensei because there's a lot more there. But like, it's kind of why I don't play Pokemon and why I don't play like, like I didn't get into the Dream Eaters in Dream Drop Distance except what I needed to get abilities.
Oh, I didn't like those at all. See, I've said this time and time again. If I want to play a game with Pokemon elements, I'm gonna play Pokemon.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about capturing generic monsters in other games. And Denpaman commits that same, I don't want to say sin, but it has that same issue where you're just catching generic little dudes that I don't care about. So that doesn't
Yeah.
make me have any interest or investment in raising them up. So
And they
the
don't
only other
look
game,
cool.
yeah, that's the thing. Like the only other game besides Pokemon that I would really care about collecting monsters in would be like Dragon Quest monsters, and even then, I think some of those designs are kind of lame. But yeah,
Hey! Master the segue here. We can now get into E3 predictions. We're gonna see Dragon Quest VII on 3DS.
Oh, I hope
E3.
so.
I really want that game.
You say that every time, and I
I
feel like
know.
you don't know what you want.
Dude, they've ironed out the beginning, and I like Dragon Quest games. I just didn't like Dragon Quest IX that much because there really wasn't a party. Like I like the characters in Dragon Quest. Like they're whimsical, and I know that word just hurts Steven's soul. So whimsy.
No, not all the time.
I thought you were crying out in pain.
I have since revised my position on whimsy. I no longer hate it simply for existing. Like, I can dig a little whimsy here and there.
Yeah, but I do hope they announce that. I feel like it's not super likely to happen. I see a lot of first-party Nintendo stuff being announced, so like a bunch of new first-party 3DS and Wii U games, because Mario Kart actually is doing a really good job of selling software for sure. I love how the net has taken to being like, Mario Kart sold incredibly well, like more than any other Wii U game by far, but Nintendo was still doomed. Oh my god. And it's like,
well,
really,
they love
we
the
have,
narrative.
Well,
have
what
to
they
tilt
are, the
or
only
slant
thing I
everyone,
agree
like-
with what they're saying. Like, I agree. Like, I love Polygon, but right now every article on Polygon is here's why the Wii U is doomed. Here's how But I like that sort of like some of their stuff is challenging, but whatever. Not on topic. But like people are saying, yeah, it's selling incredibly well, but the problem is overall it's not going to be the worst selling Mario Kart due to the simple fact that there aren't enough Wii U's for it to outsell Double Dash.
Well, and I think, Derek, you also got to keep in mind that always happens whenever a publisher. Okay, this is going to sound really mean, so you got to let me finish it. But whenever a publisher screws up, people like that publisher or that company or whatever to get their just desserts. So with EA and all the Mass Effect craziness and all that, they wanted that. That's why that company got named worst company in America. For God's sake, it's not like they're taking their employees out and shooting them, but like that's why it got named worst company in America 2 years running or something. When Sony charged $600 for a PlayStation 3 and they fell on their face because of it, the internet was eating them alive. When Microsoft did the same thing with all their DRM stuff and then they backed off on it, the internet ate them alive. I don't think anybody was looking at the Wii U and going, you know what, that's what we want out of our next console. And that's where I would say Nintendo's misstep was. And nobody wants to dance on the grave of Nintendo if Nintendo is producing something that is making everybody happy. But the fact is that the titles haven't been there. They're starting to happen. We know there's going to be a Zelda. There's going to be a Mario Kart. Those titles are going to be there, but they've lost third-party support.
Oh, hey, E3 prediction. There's going to be a Metroid announced. Sorry. Just wanted
Oh
to throw
God,
that
I
in
hope
there.
so. Please, please.
You know
please.
what? I hope so, but I don't think I'm that lucky. See,
Oh,
this is my worldview
no,
thing
dude,
again.
they're
Nope.
announcing one. It's
I
coming.
think if they announce it, I think it's going to be like a 3DS one, and it's going to be like a side scroller with 3D graphics, a la Kirby Triple Deluxe or New Super Mario
That's what I
Brothers.
would want.
That's what I.
I actually think there's gonna. I think there will be a 3DS one announced and a Wii U one. And I think they'll have some kind of I think they'll have some kind of connectivity. And I actually am going to go as far as to say I think the Wii U one will have 2D plain but 3D graphics.
I think you're insane.
I don't.
I think a 3DS one is possible, not likely. I think I hate Team Ninja and what they did to Metroid, and I think the damage is going to be felt for a long time. I mean, who makes it? Who's going to make it?
I don't care.
I don't know.
Retro Nintendo.
Is it retro? I mean, has Tropical Freeze come out?
Yeah, that's out. Like, and apparently is really good. But like, that's the thing is we forget Nintendo has a ton of teams, including just their internal teams. Like, they're not wanting for people to make content, and that's the thing is like, I'm not in love with Nintendo's games, but the fact is they are consistently producing games that are well reviewed. Not always like amazing, but like Mario Kart 8 came out and it's blowing people's faces off.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really want to play it too, and I don't even like Mario Kart. Well, I mean, I do, but I don't love it.
It's really fun. It's so good. Like, I was so apathetic to Mario Kart on both Wii and 3DS. I just didn't care about either of them. I think a lot of it was because I thought the tracks in the Wii version were boring, and I thought the 3DS one was just like not super fun because I couldn't really play it with people. So I missed this on the big screen stuff, and I think 8 nails it. I know we're not really talking about it today, but we played I played with Jeremy. Jeremy's one of our news editors. He was hired on a few months ago. He's one of my buddies. Yay, nepotism. No, he actually does a great job. But we played like 6 hours or more on release day over the weekend. It was fantastic. But I think it is going to take more than yeah, that would be good. It's definitely going to take more than just this one game to move the system. I think that my thing is I think Nintendo needs to drop the gamepad. They're never going to, because it's built into how they want the system to work. But I think the gamepad was just what made the Wii U arrive kind of dead in the water. I'm not a doom and gloomer for the most part, but I hope they get it together.
I agree that I think dropping the gamepad might spur sales, but it's not like the console is that expensive anyway. And
it's not really. And
like,
right now you can get an incredibly good bundle. It's like $329 for the system with I think 2 games and an extra controller.
Dude, I'm so close. I want Mario Kart something fierce, and I don't even know why.
Good.
Like, I don't even love Mario Kart, but man, bring a Wii to E3. But
anywho,
my thing with them dropping the gamepad is that I like that Microsoft dropped the Kinect requirement, and I think that's great for the consumer. Microsoft is not a company that supports hardware once they think it's dead. Right. Microsoft is a company who says, yeah, we're going to be supporting this for long into the future. Then
I can't believe they straight up were like, nope, forget Kinect, we're done.
Well, they say we're still supporting Kinect, and then they release the patch that says the Kinect resources have been freed up to make games look better. And I'm like, I get exactly why that was done. It's great for people who own Xbox Ones, but Microsoft is full of garbage to such a degree when they say we're still going to support Kinect. The current spate of Kinect games are going to come out. They're never going to be in Kinect games again. No one's going to cover it, and they're already freeing up the resources. You can't, the developer can't program a game with the assumption that somebody might have Kinect and that somebody else might not have it. Microsoft is done with Kinect, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's the Move. It's the Move controller. It's the same thing.
Oh yeah, doesn't PS4 theoretically support Move?
It does, and there's like a game or two that uses it too. And apparently the PS camera is still sold out. Like, people want it.
I'm happy we've gotten away from this motion controller garbage. Anywho, so Nintendo, I personally think Metroid's a long shot. I think we're going to see a teaser for the new Zelda. I don't think we're going to see a long stage demo. Yeah, we're not going to
come out until probably after next E3 is my guess.
Yeah, I'd say next holiday season.
I think it's like farther out than FF15.
I think it's going to hit the same time as FF15.
Yeah.
Speaking of FF15, does it get a large stage demo? No.
No, it's going to get
Square already announced what it's got.
Which is a new trailer.
I'm guessing it's going to be a new trailer with a little bit more gameplay and some cutscenes.
I think that is a holiday 2015 title.
I think like maybe summer next year.
In Japan.
like like maybe like August 2015, and then release here November-ish.
I
Well,
think
you know what? They've been trying to get these worldwide releases a little bit closer to one another. So I would really, really like it if they got that game out worldwide at the same
so.
time.
Does that mean I was wrong? No, I think I was wrong.
E3 hasn't happened yet. I revised my position.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh yeah,
It hasn't happened yet.
they're gonna announce Final Fantasy 15 for release before January 2015. Yeah, you're right, Steven.
I revised that. I no longer think that.
What about
They are going to announce a PS3/Vita HD version of Type 0 coming out here.
That would. Oh yes.
God,
Ugh.
I would be
And
so
I also-
happy.
I could be totally wrong, but my giant prediction is that Type 0 will be announced at the show.
Yeah, I would
I'd
be
be very
so
happy.
stoked. And I just heard a rumor today that Square Enix started work on FF12 HD. I mean, it's just a rumor, but 10 HD sold better than I think they expected, or at least it did really well as they expected.
Better
So-
than Lightning Returns.
That's because it was better than Lightning Returns, and that game was made 10 years ago. So I really hope that that's a thing. Like FF10 HD, or sorry, 12 HD on Vita and PS. Like do PS4 and Vita. Oh my god,
Yeah.
please.
I think the Vita is gonna be left for dead. Not
What?
the game Left 4 Dead. I think the Vita is only
Although
going to be.
I would play that on Vita.
I think the Vita is only going to be tangentially talked about with relation to indie titles, unfortunately, and the PlayStation Now. But I don't think we're going to see
It's going to get a few games. They're going to show Gravity Days 2, I'm sure.
BioShock Infinite.
Oh yes.
BioShock Infinite.
Why would they show BioShock Infinite on Vita?
Because remember, Ken Levine was on stage with a Vita in his hand, saying how
thought-
amazing it was. Saying
that was
thought
a
making
really
new Bio-
long time ago, and
Yeah,
he was talking about the first
I know, dude,
BioShock,
I'm being
and he already said that's not going to happen.
I'm being facetious. That's why I'm saying that we're going to see nothing for Vita.
Except for Gravity Days
I
2.
think the Vita is gonna. I don't know. You're right. I think it's not gonna have like a huge presence at Sony's conference. I think there's going to be a good amount of announcements just sort of made on the side. And I think the Vita is going to continue to thrive for a long time as maybe like more of a niche system like the PSP became. Because the PSP just turned into like RPG machine.
And that's what Vita is now. There's so many games coming out for Vita that are like
Yeah.
JRPGs.
Do you guys think that bundle is going to happen in America? There's
Yes.
listing in
Oh,
France
easy.
for,
I think
gift.
the price is going to be
Hold
better.
on. Let me let the listeners know. Jeez.
They know.
No, they might not. In Amazon France, there is a PlayStation 4 Vita bundle that is going on pre-order. And Steven, do you think it is coming to America?
Yes.
There you go. I'm just trying. It's radio, guys. It's not just us talking. It's radio. We got to work here a little bit.
Who?
Oh, God.
Her?
I thought you were going to make a coming to America joke, and I was going to be really happy, but I think I'm the only one here that's seen it.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, my God. It's a great Eddie Murphy movie. Stop it. Yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny.
Is it as funny as Ghost Dad with Bill Cosby?
Oh, my God.
Is anything as funny as Ghost Dad with Bill Cosby?
No,
Oh,
not
my
really.
God. What else? So I don't think Fallout 4, yay or nay?
I'm
leaning
gonna
towards
lean
nay.
towards. I'm gonna lean towards yes.
I'm leaning toward nay.
I don't know. I think that's just a clear cut difference in our outlooks. Like, I tend to look on the optimistic side, and you're more.
I think
of
at
a
the
pessimist.
most we would see a teaser trailer, but I don't even think we're gonna get that. I think there's
Well,
too much
the-
radio silence.
The
Like,
thing is, what's Bethesda got other than The Evil Within right now?
I just think Fallout 4 might be further along. As in it might be further out. One of the comments I was going to make is Jeff Gerstmann was talking on Giant Bomb like 2 weeks ago, and I think because he had gotten a lot of information at the pre-E3 stuff, but he was saying like this E3 is going to be the year of 2015, and we've seen a lot of games get delayed in the past month. The Order got delayed.
Batman.
Yeah, and the Batman one really pisses me off. I'm sorry, that game just got announced. They knew that game was going to be delayed. That really pissed me off. They say, "Oh yeah, that game's coming out in October. Here, get your pre-orders, get your special Batman stickers or whatever." And then a month later, they delay it. Oh, come on, that's disgusting to me. That was really bad. They had to know. Witcher 3 is only, that's February, which is pretty good. But there's a lot of games coming out in 2015. Now, my question to you guys is this, cynical versus positive? Is this it's taking the developers longer to make these games than they anticipate? Or is this, hey, we're seeing that games are successful at any point in the year. It doesn't just have to be the holiday season. So why rush a game and potentially release something that is glitchy and not as good as it could be? Why not take the time to add the extra layer of polish
Isn't
to it?
that what every dev should be striving for, regardless?
I would agree with you, but that's why I'm asking the question. Is this coming because of necessity? Is this coming because literally these games could not be released? Or is it coming from, hey, our market outlook is looking better over the course of the year? We're seeing more big games coming out in February, March, April, every month out of the year. Summer still gets a little light here and there, especially in the July region, but you know, this could be a real positive thing, like you're saying, Derek. I'm just wondering, is this coming out of necessity, or is this, the developers are saying, hey, we're not hamstrung to only release around the holiday season?
I think it's coming out of we released all of our last gen games this year, and we weren't ready to release our next gen games yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter that they weren't done with
necessity.
anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Does anybody get excited for Destiny? I feel like that is becoming kind of like
I'm looking forward to it.
It's coming out this year still, yeah? I mean,
it is
Yeah,
in
it's coming
September.
out.
The last set of previews, kind of weird what's happening in the industry right now with a lot of previews being so negative Nancy. We saw those Evil Within previews at PAX. The last big reveal for Destiny, a bunch of people came back with a giant meh. Like, is
well,
that
that's
just
kind of how it should be. I mean, like, I think the practice of writing previews has always been to be a lot more objective, just to sort of be like a cut and dry description of here is what the game is, here are the mechanics it has. And I actually think it's kind of good that we're shifting towards actually giving an accurate description of what's happening.
well now
Um,
to argue with you a little bit in a friendly way, is it then appropriate for a preview, not naming any names, to say something along the lines of, the story doesn't really make sense after they played one chapter in the middle
No,
of the
because
game?
because they don't have the entirety of the game to base it on. Like
Okay,
you have to take into consideration like what portion of the finished product you have available with a preview, and
gotcha.
or like if the developer is showing it to them in a closed door setting, the developer is obviously going to be telling them what kind of limitations are in place, or like how far along in development it is, or what kind of features haven't been implemented yet. So as long as those kinds of things are taken into consideration, fine. Like if there are things that are clearly going to be broken unless they do something about it, then yeah, talk about it.
Gotcha.
But I think as long as you're mindful of that, then it's okay to
Yeah,
approach.
I was just, previews have been very interesting to read lately. And I don't know if that's the direction for games journalism right now. The sensationalist journalism is really starting to piss me off.
Me too.
I don't even like to look at N4G anymore
I don't
because
know.
it's always like, here's why this is going to suck. And I'm just
It's
like,
weird.
what the
I
hell?
really just I don't like the BuzzFeed style of reporting that's getting to be really popular with
I don't
it's
either.
just like 7 reasons why the Beast whatever Project Beast is going to be the best game ever. Like
I wrote that. I'm sorry.
just talk like a normal person. I just think that people see those numbers and it's one of those clickbaity kind of things. So I really don't like that. I do think because I've changed my writing style since I started working at RPG Fan. I definitely used to follow the very scripted template of this is the game's gameplay check, graphics check, sound check, and I try to play around with it a little bit more in terms of how I put stuff together. So I think that because I think that was the thing with a lot of the industry where game reviews really were just this very systematic evaluation of the game piece by piece. And
Right.
I think that people are starting to understand that we should be looking at them in a little bit of a different light. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that shift, but not so much the like blogger style reporting of you're not going to believe this or
I hate that. We played the Evil Within. You won't believe what we saw.
exactly.
It's the same thing
and or
everybody else who played it saw.
Yeah.
extreme doom and gloom that's like way over the top, I think sometimes.
Especially when all the previews release at the exact same time. Like Steven just got done talking about The Evil Within. Like to see all the previews for that game go live, and it seemed like they were all trying to one up each other a little bit. Like one preview says, hey, this game was really good. Another preview says, it was pretty good, but here are some questions. Another preview is like, this is why it sucked. And it actually says it in the headline title. I'm just like, is this
The
really
word
clickbait?
sucks does not belong in journalism.
No, it doesn't. It really
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's a very I mean, we say the word sucks in casual conversation all the time, but when you're trying to actually like professionally and eloquently describe how something has issues, you need to give more of an explanation than just it sucks. I'm sorry.
Project Beast, 10 reasons why it's going to be awesome.
It
Go.
sucks.
I think Project Beast is going to be Sony's big thing at their conference.
I wouldn't say big thing, but I think that's going to be like the crowd pleaser. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the thing that like this is our hardcore flame bait, or not flame bait, but our hardcore fanboy bait, and it's going to get people really excited. Last Guardian.
I think it gets not
It's
a
gonna
full
move to
trailer.
PS4,
Yeah, it's going to get an I Move to PS4 trailer.
and that's all we're gonna get. And then I'm gonna cry because Jeebus.
Or they're going to blow our minds and
Hey,
be
did I
like,
tell you that's my next tattoo though? I'm getting the sigil, the weak spot from Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, cool.
That's my next one.
Wasn't it different on every one of them or no?
no,
It's
when you stabbed them, it was like the same thing with like a different outline, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have like the same basic design. Some of them are stylized a little bit differently.
Okay. God of War 4 is going to make me cry.
I don't care.
That's the reason why I'm going to cry, because I
Okay.
love Sony Santa Monica and I want them to do something new.
They're not. Sony Santa Monica is not coming to E3.
What is that game company doing? They're working on something, yeah?
Duh.
Aren't they? Because I remember Journey came out a while ago, so I know that they're definitely working on
Journey 2, Electric Boogaloo.
something. Shut up.
According to their website, our next game after Journey is currently in development and will be self-published. Release date platforms to be announced. In the meantime, we're hiring. Hey.
I have a depressing prediction.
Is it that you're not gonna make any friends at E3?
We all know that's true. That's yeah.
Aw.
I'm gonna say no Persona 5 information.
They already said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atlas already said it will not be at the show at all. But
That's
that's okay.
Wow.
That's okay because Persona Q, Persona Dancing, and
Ultimax.
Ultimax are there, and Q is looking amazing, and music is amazing.
I
Alright,
think
so
Persona
when we
5
get-
is summer. I think
When we get to
Persona
the
5 is
Atlas
gonna be
booth,
summer.
how are we gonna decide who gets to play Junpei?
You guys can
gonna
all
be tough.
have Junpei. I don't get the obsession with Junpei.
He's amazing,
you're a
and you
bad,
haven't gotten
bad man.
far enough yet.
Doesn't understand anything about
Okay,
life.
I'm still playing Portable. All right, give me a break here.
Well, I mean, he's a likable guy to start with, and then he has the most interesting character development of anyone in the game.
Does Q have any kind? Is it just a dungeon crawler, pure and simple?
Basically.
Like it's like Etrian Odyssey, but Persona style.
Yeah, it doesn't have social links as far as I know, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, maybe if the exploration element's good enough. I don't know. I'm not sold on that for me. You know what I mean?
But the exploration is all Etrian Odyssey is about.
I've never played an Etrian Odyssey game.
We keep trying to tell you that. It's so good.
All right.
Well, you're gonna find out in 4 days.
Okay. Phantom Dust 2.
Oh yeah.
I
That might
actually
push me to buy a one also.
I already said if they announce Phantom Dust 2, I will buy an Xbox One in LA. If it's Phantom Dust HD, I will not, unless it has like new stuff in it. Because I've already played Phantom Dust a lot, and I suspect it might also just be Phantom Dust HD, but I could be wrong.
Xenogears Origins, go.
What?
That's the supposed title for X.
Oh no, don't believe that for a second. But I do want them to show more. I mean, it's on the docket. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to show something about it.
I feel like I've been seeing that game for a long time.
I know, me too. It's kind of got a little bit of FF15 syndrome right now, where it's like, okay, I've known about it for so long, and I still don't know anything about it. I just know it exists. And they've shown that they did show that one teaser trailer, slightly longer than teaser trailer that had some gameplay and it looked out of this world cool. But we don't know who the characters are, what kind of story it has, and.
I was in college when I first saw Final Fantasy Versus 13.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's just not right. Kingdom Hearts 3, not there.
I graduated high school.
No, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 will have a trailer.
Nope.
I think it'll have a trailer, and that'll be it.
I don't think it's going to have very much more than last year's, but I think it's going to have a trailer.
Deus Ex 2.
No.
No,
Oh, that's a shame.
I don't know. Maybe.
Huh.
I think
can't-
that's a studio that needs to get its S together.
It's Square together? I agree!
I tried to play Thief again. Oh my god.
Speaking of games that start with T that are coming out from Square Enix, Theater Rhythm Curtain Call.
Oh my
Yes!
god. Oh my god. Like, probably my most wanted game this year. Not
Really?
even-
Yeah, I think that and
Yes.
Wasteland 2 are my most
I
wanted
want
right
it
now.
so bad. Do you have any idea how much I played the original Theater Rhythm and how much I foamed at the mouth for it?
Should
I-
I get it?
Yeah. Well,
Do
you
you
said you
like
have no
rhythm games?
I
You
have
said you
no rhythm.
But do you like rhythm games?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
I think it's a really accessible rhythm game, and this one has a lot heavier RPG elements. It has like a quest mode. It has like over 60 characters from. I think there's
It's
three
got
different
Ramza.
characters.
Does it have Selfie's train song?
No. Well, I mean, no. It has probably.
Train, take me away.
You've brought that up several times.
I know, and when I
I don't
see
think
you,
Selfie ever sings that song.
no, she does, but it's just you'd never actually hear the song. It just says train, take me away. It's just like,
I can't wait for that game though.
Yeah.
I've been doing the Persona Q thing where I've been obsessing about like who's my party gonna be.
Oh my gosh, I know who my party's going to be. Ramza, and then Zidane and some other people.
But they have Agrias too from Tag.
Oh, she's so cool.
Wait,
It
she's-
wa-
oh,
you know
that's
what?
awesome.
You know what else I like about it too? It comes with all of the songs from the first game, and not just the ones in it, but all the DLC.
Right.
So
and
like
then-
you are getting every single song that you possibly could have had in the first one, and then like 100 more.
Dragon
Right.
Age Inquisition.
they're
was-
gonna
I
show
was-
stuff.
Does it get delayed?
I think it gets a release date.
It already has a release date. Does it get
Does?
delayed?
When's the release date?
It's like October.
I don't think it gets delayed.
I don't think so either because it's cross-gen, so I have a hard time believing that would get delayed.
I think
Uh,
that's coming out this year.
yeah,
'cause-
I'm excited. That
Yeah, I'm actually I get warmer and warmer on that the more I hear. You know, like it looks like
Same here,
Skyrim, but
actually.
I kind of don't care because the thing is, if it's Skyrim but with more tactically combat and with BioWare writing, the ending of Mass Effect 3 notwithstanding, I'm really excited about it. Like I think it will be a really fun game.
Yeah, Dragon Age. The world of Dragon Age Origins was awesome. I was really, really into that world. Mass Effect 4.
No.
I
That's
think
not-
I
I,
think
think
yes.
I think it gets unveiled.
Yep, I think you see a trailer, and you know what I think? I think you see Shepard.
I don't think you see Shepard. I think it's. I don't want it to be, but I think it's a prequel. I think it's First Contact War, and I think I'm going to be pissed when that happens.
Why?
Because they made their bed, they need to effing sleep in it. I know what happens in the Contact War. I played Mass Effect. Don't go. Like, the thing is, they do Contact War, they go back and retcon a bunch of stuff. And we end up with a Star Wars prequel syndrome where they start trying to put little hooks in that are like, yeah, that total BS we made up with the Reapers. Yeah, look, see, it has been around forever. Poke, poke.
Have you guys heard the rumor that's going around Disney right now that they might just decanonize the original, not the original, the new trilogy?
What?
That's been floating around like on a couple news sites. People saying there's some scuttlebutt at Disney to just say episode 1, 2, and 3 didn't happen. I know that stunned silence is exactly what I said. Was just like, at first you sit there and go, "There's no way," and then you remember it's Disney.
I don't know. I mean,
So I really don't care for those movies.
but
But I don't know how I feel about decanonizing them altogether. That seems a bit extreme.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I see why they would do it perfectly well, but
I'm kind of apathetic about the whole thing.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Okay, crazy prediction. Here we go. KOTOR 3.
oh my god, that'd be amazing. I don't think we're going to see any Star Wars games at E3 though.
I think
they're
you'll see
all-
Battlefront for sure.
I don't think they're far enough along though.
Oh, Battlefront's had over a year. You could show something. I don't know, an AT-AT walking across the snow again. Just,
Imperial Walker.
that's all you could do. Piloted by the bad guy from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's what I think you'll see.
You know what I think would be cool? It's completely like not going to happen. Is if they merged. You remember Agni's philosophy?
Yeah,
That Square Enix CG thing.
with the
It'd be really cool.
AK-47s, yeah.
I think it would be
Kinetic
cool if
polyamory.
they merged that into FF15, like she was one of the characters or something, and that was in the same world. But
Oh.
because
That would
the
be really cool.
15 does have like guns and stuff, so
It also has like 900 dudes and like 2 girls in the entire game.
Right. That's also why.
And all
So-
the dudes look the same. Well,
Well,
I'm-
that's the problem with going with that more modern setting is that they're just wearing like modern fantasy sci-fi clothes.
Okay, Rob. So do you want them to look more like the cast of FF13?
good point. Good
Yeah.
point.
There you go.
No, okay, the look of the cast of Final Fantasy 13 doesn't bother me except for what's her face, the Kiwi that doesn't talk right.
What?
What is her name? The young
Kiwi?
she definitely has a Kiwi accent.
Vanille?
Yeah, oh god.
Kiwi?
Oh,
It's called an Australian accent.
whatever.
What the hell is a Kiwi?
I hate her. It's like New Zealand.
Rob, you are a very hateful person.
I
It's
hate
actually kind of funny because I'm watching the pre-Leviathan cutscene in 14 right now, and there are monsters going ah at the same time Rob is doing it, but I have it muted. So it's just them going ah with the motion, but Rob's like.
My cats know I mean business when I start hissing, and they're looking at me right now. No, Vanille is just terrible. Do we
I
see?
disagree with you, but that's okay.
Really? You like
Yeah.
Vanille?
I think she actually had interesting development.
Yeah,
She-
like I liked her light personality with the.
She's a bubbly person, but bubbly people exist in real life.
Yep. There we go. I just threw up in my mouth. Thanks, Derek.
She's a bubbly person who has like darker things going on.
You know.
And
Well, I do agree that some of her battle quips are a little bit over the top, but she covers up her sadness by being cheerful. Like people do that in real life, man. And I'm not saying that 13 has like the best writing or anything, but I don't think she's a bad character.
I say no new IP out of Square Enix, and that sucks.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I really want them to. Well, it's not a new IP at all, but there is a new Saga something happening. It's probably going to be some mobile crap, but
I was just gonna say that.
well, they announced it. They announced it. I think back in the beginning of this year / late last year, and they were supposed to have made an announcement by the time summer started. And there was an article recently where they were like, "Sorry, it's still in development and it's been delayed for various reasons." So I hope that whatever it is, it actually ends up being a big, full console title because I miss Saga. It's such a weird series, but I think it could do really well on, say, like the Vita. But I don't see any new IPs being announced for Square Enix because I don't know, Thief was, and
Well, they-
I liked Tomb Raider. I thought the reboot was pretty good with all the wow, what am I trying to say? Anti-feminist stuff notwithstanding.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as overt as people were making it out to be. I just think it's weird that she went from like, "Oh my god, I killed a deer" to slaughtering thousands.
Well, the thing is though, so Square announced at least one new IP last year that was Murdered, and that game came out and got pretty decent reviews. And
I thought didn't it get bad reviews? Like,
it got like
five,
sevens, and they say that the game is pretty decent, but the story is really good.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's
Wait,
an adventure game.
what? I heard the story was garbage. I mean, it's subjective, but that's any reviews I read were like the story was a mess.
See, I've heard from a lot of reviews that the story was good.
I heard the story was good, but that people weren't prepared for it to be a point-and-click adventure game. They wanted it to be more like L.A. Noire with a
And it was point and clicky.
right, and it's point-and-click. And I think we said that when we previewed the game last year, was that people were like, yeah, there's probably not going to be much variety in how you can solve this mystery.
Which, that's fine with me. That's sort of what I was expecting, and John is reviewing that now, and I want to play it, and I'll talk about it too. But, Don't Nod, the Remember Me developer, is making a game with Square Enix that I think it just got announced, literally today.
You want
They haven't said if it's a follow-up or if it's a new game, but I don't see them making something old.
I'm gonna break Derek. You ready? Watch this.
Alright.
Hey,
What?
Derek, Smash
Stop it.
Brothers, March.
Of next.
Yep.
For Wii U.
Yep.
I wouldn't be happy about that. I would
Why
not
does
be
that break
happy.
Derek?
I don't know. I just
I
know
really
he loves
want
this. He loves the Smash Brothers, and
I do love the Smash
So
Brothers.
do
and
I.
I don't really care that much about the 3DS one. I'll get it because there's such a delay between the two. But if they were going to be released at the same time, I wouldn't touch the 3DS one
Mhm.
because to me, Smash, there's no point in playing Smash unless it's 4 people in front of a TV together.
I would agree.
I'm gonna get the 3DS one because I'm very excited about it, and I feel like I'll be able to
Wow.
play. What?
What? Derek?
What?
I don't know. Derek just said wow, and then maybe he cut out.
No, you. Like you. Sorry.
Okay, we're cutting out a little bit. Okay, here we go. Back to the show. What was I gonna say? Witcher 3. Which conference does it show up to?
What do you mean which?
It's gonna be at either Microsoft or PlayStation as like probably a gameplay demo. Which one?
I actually don't agree. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be shown in both, but not as anything that has attention drawn to it.
Oh, I think it's gonna get a 5-minute demo at Microsoft.
I don't think it's getting any gameplay demo at all.
Oh, I think it is. It's too close. It's too close. They need to show it on, and doing a big reveal on like game trailers during the Microsoft conference, that would be huge. I think that it's going to be shown at Microsoft, which pisses me off because I'm not going to the Microsoft conference.
I disagree. I don't think it's going to be getting a big showing at either of them.
Okay. Just got carted out on the Microsoft conference last year. Just saying. Castlevania. No.
What?
Yeah, that series is dead. I was gonna make a joke about Castlevania, and then I was like, yeah, that series is good and dead now. Thanks, Castlespania.
I'm not a fan of the Lords of Shadow series at all. I don't think they're absolute crap, but they're pretty close to it for me. I think that they completely removed the spirit of Castlevania, and I'm not just saying like my nostalgia is better than whatever they're creating now. They just don't feel the same, and they have a completely different aesthetic and a completely different approach to progression. Like,
how far did you get in the first one?
Lords of Shadow?
Yeah.
Not far at all.
If you actually made it to the Vampire Castle, that's when that game decides to go from being extremely mediocre to pretty damn good, but it only lasts like an hour and a half. But like the game actually finds its rhythm, and who would have thought it's when it acts like a Castlevania game? But yeah, I was gonna say Konami is.
Well, there are all those rumors of Symphony of the Night 2 being announced, and I can see them trying to cash in on that nostalgia. And I mean, they made a Rocket Knight Adventure sequel a couple of years ago, so it's not that out of the realm of possibility. I think Konami announces a downloadable Castlevania game. Maybe not downloadable, but I think they announce a 2D Castlevania game.
I think Konami's a mess and is just the house that is run by Winning Eleven and Metal Gear at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resident Evil 7. God help me.
I don't know if we see it.
I think we're going to see something. We're going to see a Resident Evil something or other.
Well, Capcom's lineup is pretty small, like what they've announced, so there's room for them to add something to it, so that wouldn't be too surprising.
Maybe they announce a friggin' Mega Man game.
If any franchise truly feels dead at this point, it's Mega Man, and I don't want that to happen because I love Mega Man so dearly. I want it to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting Mighty Number 9. Relax.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh man, and they showed gameplay from it recently too.
That looks so cool with like its dashing mechanics. I'm just like, this looks really like kinetic. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Any other big predictions? Thinking strictly RPGs. Man, I want to see more of Below. Steven, you and I are gonna hold hands and go play Below.
That's probably exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we are gonna run and play Below.
I want to see Tales from the Borderlands, and I don't think Game of Thrones will be there.
No, Game of Thrones is not going to be there.
But Tales from the Borderlands will be there. I'm excited to see that because I've always said that the writing in Borderlands is one of its many strengths. And the idea of getting the Telltale writers with the Borderlands writers, with the Gearbox writers, and like there's a lot of potential for a humorous but serious story set in Borderlands. So having it tied to that sort of gameplay is really exciting.
Yep. Oh, I think we've done enough of E3 predictions. Nothing else I can really think about. Am I missing?
Deep down.
That game just looks like janky Dark Souls. There, I said it. And guess what? You know what janky Dark Souls was? Dragon's Dogma. That was janky ass Dark Souls. Like Derek talks about the jank of Dark Souls. That was jank Dark Souls.
That game was janky.
Ugh. Speaking of Dark Souls, as we move on into news,
Oh, do I?
Yeah, you
I
have
don't
to.
want to talk about. Oh, well, okay. I thought we were going to talk about Beast. So Dark Souls 2 is having a trilogy of DLC episodes.
Yay!
People like Rob and Steven can keep playing Dark Souls and keep talking about it on the podcast forever, and I will never escape it, no matter what happens.
Derek, when it comes on Steam sale, I'm just gonna buy you Dark Souls 2 because honestly, when you play I heard you say it in regards to something. I think it was Drakengard, like the whole jank of Dark Souls. When you play that game at 60 frames per second, trust me, you'll like it.
Yeah, I think that would actually help me a
Yeah.
lot. To be
It-
honest.
So yeah, I agree with you. Like when I played Dark Souls 2 on console, I immediately I bought it, played it for an hour, and then sold it to my friend because I was like, I don't want to play the game this way. Like it's just it's a game that depends on fluidity.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
God.
anyways, the Dark Souls 2, it's getting some DLC. The first one of those 3 chapters is called The Crown of the Sunken King, and that's going to come out on July 22nd. You can get the entire pack of all 3 for $25, or buy them individually for $10. So you'd save $5 if you got the pack. But all 3 of them are coming out before the end of the year. They're July, August, and September is the release schedule. So yeah, it's going to be new areas, new bosses, and
Looks really good. I like the fact that it has a decent release schedule. It's not DLC that's coming out super long after, doing it, in a reasonable amount of time, one each month. Sounds pretty good. In other potential Souls news, oh my God, that potential Project Beast.
You didn't even let Derek get to that news story. You were just like,
Faint.
"Now we're talking about this."
Faint.
I didn't really want to talk about it anyway, but go ahead.
They supposedly some potential gameplay for Project Beast leaked. What we might see during the Sony press conference, and holy crap, like, damn!
Yeah, it looks cool.
It look. You know what it is? It looks just familiar enough to have me excited, but it also looks completely different. That's what I really like. It has that, behind the back style camera, and you're looking right at the character's back and he's moving around. So it's got a similar fluidity to Dark Souls and Demon Souls, but it looks wildly different. So I'm really excited for that. God, please if that is at the Sony press conference, you will
Rob's gonna jump into my arms.
you're going to hear me faint. I am going to faint at the Sony press conference. I'm just oh! They're gonna have to revive. Are we gonna do? I was wondering, should we take pictures of us like the old IGN pics of like the guys who were sitting there, like it became that internet GIF of like the IGN guys sitting there watching the Nintendo press conference with their arms folded, completely not paying attention. And then the next year when they announced Twilight Princess, they're all like cheering and losing their minds. Should we do something like that?
I mean, we always take a lot of pictures.
Well, we're just gonna be total fangirls.
Yes.
I'm gonna selfie flip out on a train.
Yes.
So, things that I actually care about include.
Derek, you are so mean.
Well, I'm sick of hearing about it.
Oh my God.
But
I don't
no,
understand the
actually,
statement.
I would like to see more of Project Beast. I just feel like not enough has been revealed for me to care yet because it's the spiritual successor to a series that I have no interest in. So, whatever. I'm allowed to not care about things. Like, you don't care about things that I like.
Oh yeah. Well, what were you gonna talk about?
I don't know. I was gonna talk about how Digital Devil Saga 2 is coming to the PlayStation Network this week.
Okay, I do actually.
This upcoming Tuesday. Because Digital Devil Saga is awesome, as you know, one of my most favorite games of all time. I think most of us here at RPG Fan love it. Yeah, that's what I was getting to. I'll include you. So the first one released not stealthily, but they announced it, like they rated it, and then it came out less than a week later. So same thing's happening with Digital Devil Saga 2. It's going to come out this upcoming Tuesday, which is one of the E3 days. So that's going to be June 10th. It's going to be $10, and you're going to buy it because you like to play good games, listener. Well, I mean, you should probably play the first one
Rob.
first. But the second
own it. I own it on
a lot
PlayStation 2. Come on.
So, yep. So that's a cool thing that's happening. Danganronpa 2, as we know, is coming out this year, but it just got an official release date. It's going to be here on September 5th, and the Nippon Ichi store has a limited edition with a bunch of extra goodies included. But if you want it, you can just get the game by itself, which is probably what I'll do. They released a new trailer for it that shows off all of the characters, and they all have weird off-the-wall personalities / like titles. Again, there's like the ultimate martial artist and ultimate swordswoman and ultimate breeder, whatever that means. So yes,
Okay, that came across way creepier than I intended it to. I
yeah,
apologize for that.
it sounded a little bit like Tingle giggling,
Oh, you
but
bastard.
That is brutal.
so
Oh, that was going to be
Danganronpa,
an E3 prediction. New Tangle game.
Tingle's Rosie Rupee Land 2. So yeah, that's going to come out in September. So that's cool. I mean, we've talked about Danganronpa here on the podcast. It's one of those games where I feel like it's gonna be better than you think it is. I feel like most people look at the game and they're like, eh, but it's so much better than you think it is. So I think Danganronpa 2 is gonna be pretty much the same thing.
That's high on my list to play once I
Yeah,
finish
you
up
really should. I think
Persona
you'd like
3.
it.
Yeah, I have it, and I've made it a little bit in. Keep playing. And I'm like, eh.
Maybe
Like I'm
tonight.
sure it will get good, but it's one of those like you're at the beginning of a visual novel, and here's the 60 characters, 30 of which will be killed off in 20 minutes, but we're still going
That's
to give you their 20 pages of introductory dialogue.
Here's Big
that
Boob
is
character 1. Here's Big Boob character 2.
there's a couple of those, but yeah, that's exactly what's happening with me in Steins Gate because Rob gave me a copy of Steins Gate a little while back, and by a little while back I mean like
A
I don't know.
month and a half ago.
So, I'm supposed to be reviewing it, but I keep getting sidetracked by other games, and every time I think about playing it, I'm just like, it's a visual novel, and I'm at the beginning. But I love Steins Gate, and I think it has a fantastic story. I watched the anime, so I look forward to playing that. So yeah, I get what you mean though, Steven. It's like it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to motivate yourself to start, but I think that like VLR 999, once you actually get started, you'll get sucked in. So same thing will probably happen with Danganronpa 2. So the future of Harvest Moon is kind of interesting because Xseed, who is owned by Marvelous, just announced that they're going to be localizing Bokujo Monogatari. What is it? Connect to New World, and which is
Something
like
like
the newest Harvest Moon. But they're not going to be calling it Harvest Moon. They're calling it Story of Seasons because Natsume actually owns the Harvest Moon name. So that's kind of interesting and odd. But that's going to be coming out later this year. And then like 2 days later, Natsume announces a new Harvest Moon that's in development. It's called Harvest Moon 3D: The Lost Valley, and it's like the first fully realized three-dimensional Harvest Moon where you can actually rotate the camera and stuff, and you can customize your farm and blah blah blah. So we have one Harvest Moon that isn't Harvest Moon called Story of Seasons, and then a new Harvest Moon called The Lost Valley that's coming out later, both later this year. So that's confusing, but if you like Harvest Moon, that's cool. I haven't really played one that I've gotten into in quite a while. I used to be super, super into the GameCube one, A Wonderful Life. I played that. I love the Super Nintendo one. Somehow missed 64, which everybody says was the best. And I enjoyed Friends of Mineral Town on GBA and Wonderful Life. So I hope this can kind of recapture that. It looks like they're shaping up well. And a note about the Story of Seasons is I think that one of the things that Harvest Moon has, one of the problems Harvest Moon has, is that the localizations are never that great. I think that Natsume's localizations tend to be kind of dry. So I saw some screenshots of Story of Seasons, and there appears to be a lot more flavor in the writing because Xseed is handling it. So I really like that. And I think that can actually do a lot to infuse the game with a little bit more flavor and life. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll try it. And finally, probably the biggest news story for today, we just got a brand new trailer and a release date for The Witcher 3. It's going to be coming out on February 24th, 2015 on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. The collector's edition is going to have a bunch of stuff. It's going to have a figure, like a polystone figure of Geralt fighting a griffin, Witcher medallion, steelbook case, 200-page art book, and a large box. And all of that is in addition to what the regular edition comes with, which is a Witcher Universe Compendium book, a map, stickers, and a soundtrack CD, which is pretty awesome for just a regular edition. All that stuff just comes with it, but automatically at regular price.
Yeah, I watched the trailer this afternoon, and they announced a lot of really cool GOG game. I just completely blanked on what GOG stands for. Good old games, right? Oh my god, yep. I'm tired. A lot of really good integration there and some good pre-order bonuses. I will say this much, and maybe this is why I really want to see this game demoed at one of the press conferences. Guys at CD Projekt Red, I love you to pieces, and you're probably not listening to this, but still, we know you can make a beautiful game. I want to see it now. Like, I want to see the game in action. I want to see actual gameplay. I don't want to see cutscenes. I don't want to see things that look like they might be gameplay. Possibly. I want to see how that game actually runs. And now, granted, Kyle and John both said that it looks amazing, and I am inclined to believe them. But I just want to see that game in motion. I want to see like 10 minutes of it. That's it. Just like, here's Geralt walking through a town, getting a simple side quest, and going and killing a monster.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all I need to
absolutely.
see.
It's got me really intrigued. It looks gorgeous, but I would also like to see some actual real gameplay footage. And I think we might get some of that at E3. I don't know if we're gonna get a lot, but maybe like behind closed doors, they'll probably show a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
the fight scenes and everything that they've shown in the trailers that are supposedly gameplay. I know they said they're not planning on doing a lot of QTEs, but it does look very God of War QTE, not non-interactive to me. So, but then again, the full combat mod for Witcher 2 had me so high on it because it fixed a lot of my problems with the Witcher 2's combat. It felt a lot more fluid, a lot more dynamic, a lot more resource management that made sense. I'm so hyped on this game, but I'm like, guys, it's time to take off the kimono a little bit and let me see a little bit. Like that came across way worse than I thought it
That
would.
Interesting.
No, no, no. You know what it is? You know what it is? It's the Godzilla argument. Did you guys see the new Godzilla? Let me tell you about the new Godzilla. Okay, the new Godzilla.
please don't spoil the new Godzilla.
I'm not going to spoil it. The last 20 minutes are amazing, but everything leading up to that will piss you off.
Yeah, but you don't care about the human element of the story. I've
Uh,
heard a lot of people that have seen it that told me that the human storyline is actually good.
They are wrong. They are dead wrong. The
That is a
best.
lot of people.
No, and I know what they're speaking to, which is Bryan Cranston, who is awesome, but the rest of the human story is awful. It's wooden characters that don't have any character. And so then when they fake you out the first time that Godzilla's going to throw down with the monster, it's kind of funny. When they fake you out 8 more times, it starts to piss you off. That's why Pacific Rim's a better movie. Like Pacific Rim gave you what you wanted. And don't get me wrong, I like the new Godzilla, but I feel the same way with Witcher 3. I'm like, okay, you guys have really got me turned on to this game. I want to see it now. Show me something. You know what I mean? Like, just show it. Show Geralt murdering something. I don't know.
He's probably pretty good at that. I mean, Kyle can attest to it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I think I do think you're right that this is going to be year of the 2015 in a lot of ways.
Which is
we're
not a bad
probably
thing.
we're probably going to hear a lot of announcements of things that look great but aren't going to come out this year. That's kind of disappointing, but I do think there's going to be a lot of strong stuff at this show. I think every year, right before E3, there's this like movement of negativity where everybody's like, yeah, this E3 is going to suck. And I don't know if it's them just trying to like lower their expectations so that they are pleasantly surprised when things don't suck, but people typically like the buzz is typically negative before most E3s and then ends up being a good show.
Yeah, NeoGAF is like that right now. Like I made the mistake of looking at it once, and it's just everybody be like, terrible, nothing's showing up, terrible games.
Except for the Project Beast thread. That thing is hilarious. But I think what you guys are seeing is more and more. I guess a couple of years ago when I first started really following E3, like when I first got to college and they finally started to show things like the press conferences online, there was nobody had any idea what you were walking into. It was like, I don't know what's going to be announced. Do you know what's going to be announced? I have no clue what's going to be announced. So when you saw things like, the Final Fantasy 13 trailer or the Fallout 3 trailer, it was like, oh my god. And now with like the 3-week build up to E3, there's a lot of pre-E3 events and a lot of trailers already get leaked. I said
that I don't understand. There is a lot of that. Like
yeah.
this week there has been a ton of stuff just being announced flat out, not just
Here's our
leaked,
E3 trailer.
but announced. Yeah, like don't show me that. I
think
wanna...
that's my
E3.
point.
Ooh! Shovel Knight just got a release date, June 26th.
Oh, did it really?
June 26th.
Yay!
Oh, cool. All right, sweet. But like, I think
3DS version, and it's going to be amazing.
I think the
Or the
only
Vita version,
one
I don't
who
know.
still gets it right because he keeps his trailer under wrap is Hideo Kojima. Like, we don't know what he's going to show at E3, and that's kind of cool. I just, you know, when I first saw the trailer for Snake Eater, like I lost my damn mind. I was like, this is incredible. Like I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know it was going to be announced. I didn't know what it was at first. I was just blown away. And now with all these pre-E3 leaks or these pre-E3 reveals, or like you guys are talking about the E3 trailers, it takes away a little bit of the mystique. So I'm hoping that there are still surprises. I really hope that there is a Metroid game waiting in the wings at Nintendo that nobody knows is coming. Like I want that stuff.
Like I said, I would wager 85% certainty that there will be a Metroid game, maybe even 2 Metroid games announced.
I think the idea of 2 Metroid games puts you in crazy town, but 1 Metroid game, I think
one on both platforms, man.
No, I no way. I think you have a 20% chance of seeing it on the 3DS.
We had 2 on the GameCube.
You had 2 what?
It was Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion announced at the same time.
Yeah, how long ago was that, big guy?
Well, I mean, that's the last major
How
Metroid
long
announcement.
ago was that? That was the last major Metroid announcement, not Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, or God
Those were
Help Me.
sequels.
You're telling me the Team Ninja one didn't get a lot of hype from Nintendo, even though that game sucked.
The game was pretty terrible.
That game sucked.
Really, Rob? Tell me. I thought you said that it's not okay to say it sucked.
No, I'm sorry. Team Ninja makes everything worse. There, I said it. I do not understand the love affair with Ninja Gaiden. I've never understood that.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Like, I think the first Ninja Gaiden was actually really good because
I think it was okay.
It was mind-numbingly hard, but I felt like it controlled really tightly, and I enjoyed playing it even though it frustrated me. But everything since then has been kind of a downward spiral of sorts into bigger boobs, less gameplay, and I don't understand why. I mean, it's like extreme fetishization, and that's fine if you want to look at boobs, cool, whatever. But every single game, like Hyrule Warriors, has these redesigns of enemies that are anthropomorphized, and they're just like big boob ladies.
Seriously?
I don't understand. Like, why is that their thing? Couldn't they be known for something better than that?
Like good games?
Yeah.
Because their best game they ever made was made for the Xbox.
Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball?
I was going to say it was the original Ninja Gaiden, and when did that come out? Like 2002? 3?
It was a while back.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years, and they haven't made a game equal to it.
They made Dead or Alive. That was a good game.
I'm not a huge fan of Dead or Alive. I think they're really shallow.
Well, I mean, I don't like all of them, but like Dead or Alive 2 on Dreamcast was good.
That was cool. But I think some of that was novelty, though, of being an HD fighter that looked that good.
Super fast.
It's like the Battle Arena Toshinden thing.
It ran really smoothly. But in theory, it's not a super deep game. None of them are.
Steven, I'm going to say it again. It's my life. It's my worldview now. I really hope I'm wrong. I just think Metroid has been very tarnished, and it's never been a selling franchise in Japan. It never has been, and so it would only be a game for American audiences, which I don't think is what Nintendo wants right now.
I would disagree, friend Lily, and I think we're going to get 1 for sure, and possibly even 2. Because the 3DS has momentum, and they don't want to lose that. And if they just drop, they're going to announce a ton of stuff for 3DS, I'm sure. And I think one of them will be a Metroid, and I think the Wii U will definitely get a Metroid unveiled.
I really hope that's true. I really do want a new Metroid.
I think the 3DS could possibly happen. But
I want to make Metroid crawl so bad.
All right. Okay. Is that it?
That's it, sir.
I think we're good.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. We're definitely going to do 2 shows from E3, which reminds me that we got to talk about the logistics of that as soon as we get done this podcast. So keep a lookout for those. Maybe one show Tuesday night, another show Wednesday night. We'll see how the drinking goes and whether or not we're too inebriated to do anything. For Steven and Derek, thanks a lot, and we look forward to talking to you guys during E3.